Welcome to another episode of the Bug Bite, hosted by yours truly, Tech Coach Ralph, where we are engineered to win. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about Google's Waymo driverless robotaxis looking to expand in the peninsula. But as always, opposition has to arise. So if you are new to the channel and you are interested in tech news, please go ahead and like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know every single time that we go live. Check out the Patreon at www.techcoachralph.dev, where you can get some additional assistance and information to help you level up in your technical career. But with that being said, let's jump into the article of the day. So today's article comes to us by the Mercury News, and the title is Waymo wants to expand its driverless robotaxis to the peninsula, but as always, opposition arises and company cites commitment to safety. So keeping up with our last week's topic about GM's Cruise having to shut down temporarily, now Waymo is looking to expand into more areas. So let's read this together. So like I said, Waymo is Google's driverless robotaxis. So let's get into it. So the controversial Bay Area experiment in robot-driven taxi service will expand from San Francisco to much of the peninsula if Google's spinoff Waymo's application to state authorities succeed. But it is already running into opposition. Waymo on January 19th submitted its proposal to the California Public Utilities Commission, CPUC, which along with the California Department of Motor Vehicles, the DMV, regulates autonomous taxis in the state. The commission made a divisive decision in August to greenlight robotaxi service with paid fares in San Francisco, leading the roadway mayhem and a dramatic injury accident. Waymo's proposal was submitted 8 days after it received DMV approval to expand to the peninsula, includes an operating area in San Francisco southward to include Sunnyvale, with the western boundary running along Highway 280 and the eastern boundary mostly along the bay. So I personally don't know anything about San Francisco, but it looks like Google's Waymo is expanding its reach, all right? We are gradually ramping up and beginning with an initial territory that allows us to gain experience in densely populated commercial areas with a diverse future rider base, the company said in an email statement, right? Why would any city or county allow robotaxis to operate unfettered when they are proven to be disruptive to first responders and even deadly, said David Canepa, vice president of the San Francisco County Board of Supervisors. What is needed is local control and not a blanket approval the DMV and CPUC has taken. So this pushback is pretty interesting because I remember when Uber started to get popular and the taxi unions were like, absolutely not. We do not want this Uber around, but look at where we are today, right? And I don't know when's the last time I seen a taxi on the street. Maybe they still very popular in New York, but Uber seems to be the thing in most other areas at least. And it's like the same type of feedback, like unfettered, right? Operate unfettered. Well, Uber operates unfettered at this point. So anyways, let's continue. Canepa's objection underscores a bitter dispute between state and local authorities over who gets to decide where robo-taxis operate. This sounds a lot like part of the border crisis that we're experiencing right now, where Texas and the federal government are going at it. So we shall see what happens. Earlier this month, California State Senator Dave Cortez, a San Jose Democrat, introduced Senate Bill 915, which would transfer the power to grant permits for robotaxi operations to local governments and allow them to enact new local ordinances regulating them. That seems very interesting. All of a sudden, people are in favor of small local government instead of a big, massive overreach. Who would have thunk it? All right, let's continue. Waymo said in its proposal that the DMV has approved its robotaxis for use day and night on freeways and highways with a speed limit up to 65 miles per hour, along with city streets, rural roads, and other roadways and parking lots. The vehicle, currently electric Jaguar I-Pace SUVs, would be eligible to operate in rain or fog, but not snow, according to Waymo. Carnegie Mellon University engineer professor Phil Koopman, who studied the technology, said Waymo has a track record of expanding its robotaxis operations gradually, but he remains concerned about the vehicles operating at highway speeds. If there's a crash, when you're above about 30 to 35 miles per hour, the chance of fatality rises dramatically, Koopman said. I still wonder though, would I trust it in the hands of a human or a robot instead? I don't know. Okay. So San Francisco's robotaxi experience has been marked with controversy, with city and emergency officials complaining that the vehicle snarled traffic and blocked emergency responders. Most of the official ire was directed at General Motors Cruise, right? So now we're going to blame Waymo for Cruise's inadequacies, all right? In October, after a Cruise robotaxi hit and dragged an injured pedestrian, which we went over last week, right? Because let's not forget to mention that pedestrian was hit by a hit and run driver, which no one seems to be talking about, right? And then put into the pathway of the GM Cruise and then drug a little bit, all right? But let's just get the full context, okay? Uber in 2018 suspended testing its self-driving cars after one killed, I repeat, it killed a pedestrian in Arizona, which sucks, all right? Waymo continues to operate about 100 robotaxis in San Francisco. Its expansion proposal said it is providing tens of thousands of fared riders per week to members of the public in San Francisco and free rides in Los Angeles areas on a smaller scale. All right. San Francisco city data indicates that about 80 incidents of robotaxis interfering with first responders. Cruise was responsible for 2/3 and Waymo for about 1/3, said Aaron Peskin, president of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. It's safe to say that Waymo's record isn't spotless. Well, whose record is after all, right? The company, which Google spun off from its experimental moonshot unit in 2016, said in its proposal that safety is at its core of its mission. The company said in the proposal it has provided more than 1 million driverless rides to passengers in California and in Phoenix, and was excited to bring our transformative technology and services to more Californians. All right, always some more Californians. Okay. Waymo said in its statement that it deploys vehicles in an incremental way that complies with any requisite operating conditions and fits with our capacity to dispatch and service those vehicles. So back to Koopman. Koopman noted that while Waymo said in a December report that its robotaxis had a significant reduction in the rates of police-reported and injury-causing crashes compared to human drivers in cities where it operates, it also acknowledges that its 7 million driverless miles were not sufficient to determine whether the technology reduced severe injuries and fatalities when compared to human drivers. My money is on the robotaxis, though. Just letting you know, just putting it out there. If we had to bet, I would bet on the robotaxis, all right? Because they're not going to be texting and driving, They're not going to be falling asleep. They're not going to be listening to music and, just start singing some random song and totally lose track of what's going on, all right? While Waymo's map includes San Francisco International Airport, airport officials said Wednesday they had not approved any activity at SFO. Officials have had discussions with the company and want to see Waymo complete further development in communities around the airport to ensure this mode of transit could safely and effectively serve passengers' transportation needs to a variety of destinations. Destinations SFO spokesman Doug Yakel said. All right. So now let's continue. So we're trying to get into the airports, but we're not there yet. All right. So it says, where are we? Right here. Peskin said he had made clear to robotaxi companies that San Francisco supervisors could vote to bar them from the airport. I'm using that as an incentive or leverage to have the industry work more collaboratively with local governments. Daly City Mayor Jocelyn Manalo said cities must have the ability to chime in and decide on policy that affects our local residents and workers on the road and streets. Are we talking about California? I am so lost. Are we actually talking about California? So much local government protesting for California. Interesting. All right. So UC Berkeley professor of civil and environmental engineering Scott Mora said national standards enforced by a federal agency would be a better solution than a patchwork of local rules. Now that definitely sounds like a Californian to me. But if Cortez's bill passes, it might push the DMV or Utilities Commission to create a division more active and perhaps more strict in regulating the vehicles, which could satisfy local authorities, Mora said. Anyone can file objections with the Utilities Commission to Waymo's expansion proposal for 20 days following the January 19th filing. Approval or denial of the proposal at the Utilities Commission would come in weeks or months, depending on staff assessment of the expansion and any objections, the commission said. Let's see if there's any more. And that is it. That is our article. Let's go back to full screen. All right. So that is our article for today, right? So we just reviewed Google's desire for its Waymo robotaxis to expand in the peninsula, and we discussed all the areas of San Francisco of the area that it would like to expand on, and its limits and stuff like that. And it's going to be able to hit the highway and rural areas and all that stuff. But there is some opposition because they don't know how safe it is. I'm on the side of it's probably way more safer than if you had a human driver. But who knows, right? Because sometimes humans can pivot, and sometimes it gets a lot worse. And sometimes, it all works out in the end. But if I was a betting man, I would have my money on Waymo that it will cause a lot less disruptions and stuff like that. Because look at this, right? The hit and run from the GM Cruise, somebody else hit the person, put them into the pathway of the GM Cruise, and then it ended up dragging the person, unfortunately, a little bit. And now all of his vehicles have been shut down, but there are still drivers on the road on a daily basis who do hit and runs and who are driving drunk and under the influence and all that stuff. But we just do not have the capability to shut them down, just like we can shut down these taxis, So it is what it is. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up now. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Bug Bite. If you found this information entertaining or informative or helpful, go ahead and do me a favor. Click the subscribe button so you can subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you can know every single time we go live. Like the video, share the video as well. Leave me a comment on your thoughts. Do you think that it is good for Waymo to expand, or is it entirely too soon, or we don't even need it at all? Let me know. I am curious to hear from you, as well as check out the Patreon at www.techcoachralph.dev. Let me know so you can level up your technical skills, and you can even sign up for one-on-one coaching with yours truly, me, Tech Coach Ralph, and we will get you started. All right. But on that note, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to take off. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Tech Coach Ralph is out.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.
Enigmatic Joker.